Why does it feel like friendship is under attack?
We're not too old for this shit. We're not too old for this shit. Say like you believe it. We're not too old for this shit. Yeah.
Deep friendship is under attack. C.S. Lewis talks about this in The Four Loves. One of the ways in which tyranny or fascism comes about is you break up friendships or you break. Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis.
I'm Michael.
And we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. Michael, why are we here?
Today we are discussing friendship, its current state of affairs, and how it's depicted in cinema.
A few stats. 1 in 3 men do not have a close friend. 51% of all men lack one single confidant, one person that they talk to. 51%, that's over half. And we see a lot of videos about male loneliness. There is an ever-growing amount of
epidemic
of self-inflicted deaths of men in our country. And we thought we'd get on here and we talk about friendships.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Friendships is something that has seriously taken a dive in I would say the last, 10 years, probably. Maybe we could blame it on isolation in general because a lot of people don't get out anymore.
Women are lonely too.
We're
all lonely. So the advent of the phone, now we can all be on our phones and do things on our phones.
So we don't do things in person. This got us thinking that we would read The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis. He's most famous for writing the Chronicles of Narnia, but the thing is, the guy wrote a lot of really great stuff about philosophy and religion, and the Screw Tape Letters are really great. If you get a chance, Michael, you need to read that. It's basically the perspective of a devil trying to teach another devil how to tempt mankind.
How to be a good devil.
How to be a good devil. And it's so interesting.
I want to say up front that I'm super proud of our team.
He depicts in The Four Loves affection, which he calls storge, friendship, which is what he calls philia, and eros, which is the sexual love, and agape, which is like a charitable love or God's love. And we wanted to focus on philia. It's philia. And the reason we wanted to focus on that is because friendship has kind of taken this weird turn in pop culture. Specifically, there's more friendships between the sexes now. We've noticed friendships between men and women are more common, and that's okay. But it seems like more and more friendships between the same sexes has a erotic tinge to it, or eros tinge to it, that they keep trying to push. Like there's a lot of stuff on Reddit and things like that where they're shipping. They call it shipping characters that were never intended to be homosexual, specifically Sam and Frodo from The Lord of the Rings. We wanted to talk about what male friendships really are and what they really mean. And we don't need to put a eros or erotic tinge on them like culture is trying to do.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
It seems that that's the thing. What I'm thinking is, and C.S. Lewis talks about this in The Four Loves, is he's basically saying that one of the ways in which tyranny or fascism comes about is you break up friendships or you break up groups of people so they can't come together with a common goal. And it kind of feels like that might be maybe motive to degrading the friendships between men.
Possibly.
You know, there's this new thing in movies, and I don't really know what to call it, but it's when basically the two main characters, which are opposite sexes, like touch heads to show affection. And this isn't new to cinema, but it's a lot more in cinema now. the touching heads. Now, the most egregious and the one that I remember the most is the one in Furiosa, which came out a few years ago, a Mad Max saga.
Seemed like it could have been kind of a
Romantic,
a
maybe
romantic relationship, but they stayed away from it.
And I don't really know
Seems
why.
like they've been, and that's kind of where we got to talking about this. I noticed this in the new Star Wars films with the Rey character. So it started with Force Awakens,
yeah,
where Rey and Finn, it seemed like they were going to start
some kind of
romance in that.
Yeah, he kind of had a crush on her. She was oblivious to it, which was kind of funny. It made for like this couple of humorous moments in the movie, but then the two sequels, they got away from it. They decided not to have her have a romance at all. And if anybody remembers the the better films, there's a romance between Han Solo and Princess Leia, which was intentional, which was good.
Occasionally, maybe, when you aren't acting like a scoundrel.
Scoundrel.
Also, there was a friendship between Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Now, these are important things. Romance and friendship are important things. And we as a society have decided to mishmash and complicate and what's a word I'm looking for?
It's muddied the water.
It's
We've
muddied
just
the
kind
water.
Of muddied the water
yeah.
when it comes to it. And this was one of the things that C.S. Lewis kind of talks about. So homosexuality has kind of pushed itself into our society, and it's kind of become a little more pervasive than we've ever like known before, right? And C.S. Lewis talks about the idea that you can muddy the water with homosexuality entering your friendships because you have same-sex friendships, and when you're towing that line that can go into friendship love or go into erotic love or eros, that can be a little bit of an issue. And I think because homosexuality is so pervasive in our society, we've literally started to lose that ability to, especially on screen, show a heterosexual couple of guys be intimate and close with each other without it be turning into a sexual thing.
Yes, 100%. So
it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, it's a huge problem.
So you and I have both had friends, and there's never been this moment. There's never been a moment of
sexual tension
sexual
of some
tension.
kind. No,
it just doesn't exist. And in fact, I would say that when men are together and there's no women around, there's a lot of masculine energy, and so we're always doing crazy shit. And so it's always fun.
Oh my God!
I feel all right.
Initiation sequence in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And so we're not trying to impress the woman. It's more, I want to make you laugh as hard as I can, or I want to do something that's going to shock you and make you laugh as hard as I can. And usually there's alcohol involved, and it can get a little nuts. But like jumping over fires and doing weird shit like that. Like, just so this is also one of the reasons why men don't live as long as women.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Williamson had a guest on, and they talked about this.
Yeah.
Where the guy went to a party, and it was supposed to be this big party, and everybody was going, and there were no women. Like, a couple gals came, and they like saw that there was no other women, so they left. Mm-hmm. And literally, he said it was like the best time he'd ever had in so long, because all the guys were just drinking and just were doing dumb shit.
You remove the source of competition, right?
Yeah.
So men are always competing to impress women. And if you remove women from the equation, then they no longer feel like they have to compete with each other. Instead, they're trying to compete, make each other laugh, or we're going to go do this thing that's fun and maybe a little out there.
I was talking to somebody that was telling me that they were bisexual. I was trying to explain to him that you'll find is that your friendships, your close friendships, if it could come up that you could be sexually intimate with these people, then you might find yourself having a hard time keeping the friendship alive.
Yes.
While also having those love feelings start to come up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's a huge confusion for people now. And it's being pushed kind of so much. It's like, oh, you've got to explore yourself.
Not a great plan.
Especially for young people. And I think that it's a disservice. I really do feel like it is a disservice.
Because there should be relationships without the possibility of eros.
Of there being any sexual
You
love
should be able to
there.
have those relationships. Those relationships are really important. And it used to be taboo. Why are we pushing this onto friendships? And it feels very much like it's been pushed onto friendships, especially in pop cultures. Pop culture continues to try to push this onto friendship. And the thing is that there, all through history, all through pop culture, there's been male friendships which have not had the possibility of eros. So Bill and Ted.
No way.
Yep.
Is a friendship, is a bromance, is whatever you want to call it. The Lethal Weapon, Riggs and Murtaugh.
We're not too old for this shit. We're not too old for this. Say it like you believe it. We're not too old for this shit. Yeah.
You've got Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
No, not yet. Not until me and Harvey get the rules straightened out.
Rules? In a knife fight? No rules.
Well, if there ain't gonna be any rules, let's get the fight started. Someone count 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, go.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Yes,
Morgan Freeman.
Red and Andy Dufresne.
I think it would be fair to say I liked Andy from the start.
Think he'll ever get out of here?
I don't think so.
Shawshank Redemption, if you had a character that decided they were bi or something like that, right? How does that
change the dynamic?
It would completely change the dynamic of their relationship.
This is why men have a hard time, is because they don't get into really intimate relationships very often. And usually the person in their that knows them the best or knows them the deepest is their spouse. And the problem with that is that then there's no room for the friendship, for the philia. It's a fine line for people to pass through with their romantic relationships to also be friendships, and also requires too much of the intimate sexual relationship. It's almost like
if that person has to be your friend too.
If that person has to be your friend too. You know, for years, women wanted their men to open up to them. This becomes a double-edged sword. So women will often want the man to open up to them and become as intimate as a friendship would. But then when the man does, and he shows his vulnerable side and he shows his fears that he has and all that kind of stuff, that also puts her off because she no longer is sexually attracted to him, because now they've become a friendship. So this is a muddled water as well. So the same thing that they say they want in the partnership will also turn them off in a sexual manner.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, and a lot of that could be because they don't have friends outside of their spouse.
Yeah.
Right?
So that would, like, if he had a friend.
If he had friends outside of his spouse, then he would be able to get that cup filled outside of the relationship.
But see, that's the issue here, is that for a long time, the general consensus or the pop culture pushed that men not go hang out with their friends and they stay home with the family. And as a result, the man's friendship needs or philia needs were being met by the same woman that he's also has eros with.
Yeah.
Or sexuality with. And this becomes a muddled water, right? So he's given up his friendships because they're not as important as this family is. And now he's only in this family. And when he does give his friendship need to his wife, it also makes him weak in her mind, and it will also make her less attracted to him. And this might be the reason why there's so many problems in marriages as well, is because men don't have these deep friendships with other people, and they make their wife the friendship as well as Eros, and it becomes muddled, and then she's no longer attracted to him, and then there's this gap, and then the marriage falls apart.
We mentioned that our phones, we've all been able to just push out the rest of the world, and it all be on our phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both the sexes don't get out enough.
Women are doing
it. Church. You used to go to a bowling league. You used to go to bingo night.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Mm-hmm. And then you had all these things for men's fraternities that you would go to, and all these things.
Gentlemen's clubs.
Sure.
Nice.
The women had their
culture club. They would have a book club.
Yep.
Those kind of things.
Breakfast, right? Like all the women would do their thing. Now we don't do any of that. So now it's just sit at home and be on your phone, play your video games, watch your movies, right? Nothing.
Scroll. Just keep scrolling
outside of the house. And now our partners have become everything, and it's a little overwhelming.
It might be what's leading to all of this loneliness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've given up all the outside friendships for the inside friendship in the house, and then that becomes stilted by the phone, then you don't have any outside friendships. And this is a harsh statistic. So Chris Williamson had Max Dickinson.
The guy wrote the book, Billy No Mates.
And he put out this really disturbing thing. Do you know what a public health funeral is?
Oh my gosh, no, I do not. But I think I know where you're going.
This is disturbing. It's basically a funeral that the state pays for someone who dies and has no one taking care of the funeral. It's like 3/4 all men. This is a majority of men. And so women are more likely to, and this is a paradox, right? He says this is a paradox. Women are more likely to live alone in old age, but men are more likely to not have any friends in old age. They will die alone, and they're more likely to have a public state,
because they have no family to help.
They have no family.
Literally,
no
the
friends.
State just puts on the funeral.
The state puts on the funeral. And this is in England, of course, because both of these guys are British guys. But I'm sure United States has something equivalent.
Right. But
the majority of those funerals are men. This is what C.S. Lewis is talking about when he says a fellowship. Fellowship is extremely important to men, and it's done in a duty, in a goal. Men can't just get together and sit and talk. Usually, and this is a generalization because there are men who do that, but usually they have to have a goal. And the best friendships I've ever had were usually of a working relationship of some kind. So it's usually
you're working towards something.
We're working towards a goal. And this is another thing that they mentioned in the same episode with Chris Williamson. Women face each other when they talk. Men stand shoulder to shoulder when they talk. And you'll notice this at most, like a barbecue. Okay? The men will stand around the barbecue shoulder to shoulder, whereas the women will be drinking and facing each other. They'll have a drink in their hand and they'll be facing each other talking. Men will be looking at the barbecue with shoulder to shoulder. Because they're in a purpose mode. Now, everybody sits down. If everybody sits down at a dinner table, usually that's a face-to-face conversation. But when you're at a party, you'll notice men usually standing shoulder to shoulder, because if a man's facing another man, usually that's a sign of aggression, and it means that there's some kind of fight going to go on. So one of the reasons that we really, really like Lord of the Rings is because it's men on a mission, right? And that's what it appeals like. This is why it appeals to so many men. Now, of course, women can like Lord of the Rings. I know women who've liked Lord of the Rings. I know women who have read the books and all that kind of stuff. But the point is, for men, they like man on a mission stuff. And especially if during that man on a mission, you build a fellowship and a friendship that is deep and abiding. And this is what C.S. Lewis and Tolkien did, because both of them served in World War I. Both of them served in the trenches. And men often find solace in other men in their suffering. Because men, if you've suffered together, if you've had moments of suffering together, which is why brothers tend to be really close as well, is because you're suffering the problems of your family life when you were younger, or whatever traumas brought those on. But that's why you have these connections, is because in suffering and in purpose you find the friendship. That's why men face the world side to side and not face to face.
Yeah.
And now for something completely different.
So the lonely man epidemic that's happening is, I think, a result of romance isn't happening anymore, and the battle of the sexes is raging. Like, it is so bad right now. It is crazy.
Yeah.
And social media just adds fuel to that flame. Like, they just you see all these videos of these women getting on and like, I divorced my husband because I was bored, and that kind of thing. It's like, what? Like, okay, like that's a very strange reason to do that.
Yeah.
And,
or the guy that cheats on that's on a dating website when he's been married or whatever.
Yeah.
He's
so
married.
It's
he's on a dating
so social
website.
media has only added fuel to this. So the romance thing, and so now men aren't getting into romances, and they also aren't getting into friendships, right? The deep fellowship, which is philia, that C.S. Lewis is talking about, is the kind of friendship, and he gives a couple of markers. He says, when you haven't seen each other for a very long time, and you come back together, and you're able to have an ongoing conversation without really a lull in the conversation. And this is something that I've noticed with my brothers. Most of my friends, most of my deep relationships are with my brothers. We can go months without talking to each other and then
pick right back up. Yeah.
Well, and he defines the difference between the philia and eros. The biggest difference between friendship and erotic love is the fact that the lovers talk about their
their relationship
a lot.
Yeah, but you don't get together with your friendship
and don't talk about your friendship. You might reminisce.
Really a thing.
You might reminisce about old days. Oh, yeah, remember when this happened? And I have a friend that was Curtis's best friend, and I have the same kind of repertoire with him. We've known each other for so long that we can come together after not seeing each other for months and just pick up right where we left off. And that's that's the true measure of a deep friendship. And like you said, there's no jealousy in that friendship. So if he has another friend, I don't feel bad
jealous
if
about
he decides to hang out with that friend.
Sure.
Whereas you might feel that way in eros.
Yeah.
With eros, if your lover goes to spend time with someone else, you will feel jealousy at that point. So those are the markers, and there's too much pop culture trying to muddy those markers and not let relationships be natural. There's a lot of forcing of relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you can't force it. It's got to be very, very natural. And men just don't go out, you might do the thing like, oh, I'm going to go out and have a beer or something like that with somebody. But there has to be kind of a goal. It's got to be goal oriented.
Chris Williamson, with several of his people that he's had on, have talked about this, that guys need to prioritize that, though, making it an effort to make sure you're going out. I think one of the guys he had on said you should go out twice a week with your mates, with your bros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's all said well and good, but if you're like,
it's tough because
how often does that even happen? Like,
right.
You got to take time. Chris Williamson does this thing where he says, man up, open up. And the problem with it is those are opposing. Everybody says men need to open up more. And then when they do open up, then they're told to man up. Stop crying. Stop your crying.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're around other men. Other men are not going to it's other men are, it's harder to open up around other men.
Yeah, it might be a context thing. So yeah, I could see how that might get kind of awkward if you're doing that at work, right?
Yeah.
But if you're at a church men's group, like that might be the
time
the
to do
correct
it.
setting, right? Maybe that's a more appropriate, time and place, right? And maybe guys are just really not good at time and place, because sometimes we're not.
But yeah,
like approaching a gal like when she's alone at the park to hit on
ask her out. Yeah,
like
that's not a good
maybe
time
not
to
the
hit on her.
best.
But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo.
If most of your social interactions are happening online and not in person, then how do you react in person? How do you read the room? Like, you won't know how to read the room. You'll go into a room and you'll be like, oh yeah, she's cute, I'm gonna go hit on her. Oh,
lack of practice. Yeah, for reals.
She's by herself and there's no one around, and she's gonna be creeped out before she's actually turned on. You're right. I think men have a hard time with context. Social media has muddled the waters. The bisexuality of youth today has muddled waters. One of the problems with men is that they don't make new deep friendships. They tend to make friendships at a young age that stick with them through all of their lives. You can probably say the same. All of the friends that you had when you were young. Women are kind of able to make quick, close friendships, affectionate friendships, and deep friendships very quickly, and they'll kind of stick with them for long periods of time. Sometimes they'll go in and out. Men have a harder time making those deeper connections, and I'm not sure exactly why. Chris Williamson tries to put this across. He says that it might go back to when we were cave dwelling. Women needed to make these close bonding relationships to raise children. So grandmother, aunt, friend, I trust them to be good to my children if I have to go. And then men, when they're out hunting, they make very superficial friendships and they don't get close because most likely one of those dudes are going to die in the process of hunting a mammoth. Something is going to happen. And so they don't make those connections really well. They make superficial relationships very quickly. But deep relationships take a lot more time, a lot more effort, and they're less likely to have these deep relationships. And usually those are made in trials. Big trials like a war, a work crew, those kind of things tend to build masculine relationships a little bit more. But if you bring Eros into any of that, it complicates it all.
Yeah.
If you guys get a chance, you should check out The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis. Check us out on social media, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check us out on X. Check us out on Instagram, all those good ones.
If you like this, you are the subscriber we are looking for, and you probably know somebody that can benefit from this discussion.
Until next time, keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya.
There you go, son. Now get out of here. You're bothering me.